Okay, hi. Bear with me as I'm trying to figure out like how I want to record this. I am pretty much blind without my glasses. I did a whole makeup look. I'm just going to show you real quick. I did kind of like a basic, it looks like I don't have any eyeshadow. I did not do an eyeshadow look. I got some blush, some highlight, bronzer, whatever. It's kind of like more like a bare face look. I did try a lip tint today. I'm actually okay with it. When I first put on the lip tint, I was like, I don't know. When I put on the lip tint, I was like, I don't really know what's going on here. I am absolutely, positively obsessed, focused on putting blush like completely across my face. I'm so sorry. I'm just really, I love it. So anyways, today I am going to sort of film a like update video wrap up of 2024. It is already 2025. Today is New Year's. Happy New Year to everyone. We're just going to talk a little bit. First of all, if you don't know who I am, my name is Brianna. I am the owner of Moonwax Galaxy, a small business where I sell 100% soy wax melts and candles. Okay, so I am going to try to keep my thoughts as clear and concise as possible. And I guess where I want to like try to start is with certain things happening with the coming new year, which I don't know if you're aware or not, TikTok will be getting banned in the US, particularly around, I think it's January 12th. No, not 12th. January 19th or 20th is like one of the days. I can't remember if it's the 19th or the 20th, so I apologize. But TikTok will be getting banned in a few more days. And I have noticed everyone scrambling for a TikTok replacement. Here's the thing. I'm in between a rock and a hard place, because what I'm thinking is that there's never really going to be a replacement for TikTok, because truly, like, the algorithm, and as much as I like have mixed feelings about TikTok, there's no other algorithm that's going to be as good at what TikTok does by showing you exactly what you want when you want it. If you're on YouTube, if you're on, I don't know, Instagram, Lemonade, whatever it is, you kind of have to do a lot of hand holding with trying to show and train the algorithm with what you want to see, right? And for example, I'm really good at kind of training YouTube by being like, I want to see this, I don't want to see that, right? Instagram, I don't really know what Instagram is like. I feel like Instagram is very based off of like who you follow versus like what you engage with. So they're like, well, you follow these people. And I'm like, yeah, I follow these people because they're my friends. But like, sometimes they don't always make content that I'm interested in, right? And if I'm liking a bunch of posts about candles and candle making and wax melts and aesthetic stuff, then you should be showing me that. Just as an example, right? YouTube has a feature called YouTube Shorts that's very similar to TikTok, basically the same thing. And all it shows me is like cat and dog videos, because on YouTube, that's all I look at. That's all I really like enjoying in terms of short form content, is looking at like animals. I really like looking at cats and dogs in particular, but I'll look at any animals. Sometimes it shows me animals, and sometimes it's like, look at this funny skit. And it's like, okay, but like, you know what I'm saying? So I do, to some extent, I do kind of feel for people who like are mourning the loss of TikTok. The bigger thing that I want to talk about right now is, all the business owners who are losing their minds about losing TikTok and thus losing TikTok Shop in conjunction. And here's my 2 cents with all of this. And I want to tie all of this in with my like New Year's resolutions, with what I want to do with my business, yada, 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 all that, right? So bear with me. One, I absolutely feel as though that TikTok Shop, which I was on for a short amount of time and I got like a couple of pennies off of, is not conducive to small handmade businesses. And that's going to tie in with the main point of my video today. I don't know if there is a singular platform that is conductive. I don't know what word I'm looking for here. That is for small handmade, specifically handmade businesses, right? And I bring this up because when I first opened up my own TikTok shop, I did it because I kept seeing so many small business owners being like, I'm thriving on TikTok shop and it's amazing and da 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 da, right? Which I don't disagree with. But I saw that and I said, oh, well, I need to be doing this for my business because that's what makes sense. Not realizing that majority of those people, sorry, my nose itches, so I kind of like use this like brush to like scratching my nose without like messing up my makeup. But basically what I feel like is that like small businesses, like, yes, they are small businesses, but they aren't handmade, right? And it's no shade to anybody that I'm mutuals with or anything like that. But selling a handmade product is a lot different than selling like, even though yes, you are a small business, it's a lot different than like selling graphic t-shirts or selling, I don't know, hoodies or apparel, like stuff that you may have designed yourself, but maybe you didn't fully make it with your own two hands. You get what I'm saying? Or being like, oh, I designed this mug, but this mug is really like, I don't know, heat pressed together. It's a lot different. And I'm not trying to be a dickhead, but it's different. And so it's hard when TikTok shop, and I hate to say this, but TikTok shop is basically just like Temu with extra steps. I promise you, the homepage of Temu and the homepage of TikTok shop look exactly the same. There's a lot of like low quality, cheap items on there. There's some non-cheap items too, like some expensive items. But for the most part, it's cheap items, right? And so it's hard to convince people who are used to, let me pay $5 for this tripod. Let me pay $5 for this lapel mic. Let me pay maybe $10 for this hat, to pay $15, $20 for a candle, right? Plus shipping. Because a lot of places may offer free shipping and that makes it that much harder, right? But also on TikTok shop is a lot of drop shippers. And so there is something to be said, and this is the lesson I learned in 2024. Again, bear with me while I'm trying to make my point. This is a lesson I feel like I've learned with my business in 2024, is that I have to be very picky with how I choose to display my items. And I don't necessarily just mean like, oh, make sure you arrange your table at a pop-up this way. You have to be mindful of what environment you are putting your business in or your products in, right? There have been plenty of times where I have went to a pop-up and people come to me and they're like, oh, you make these candles yourself? And I'm like, yeah. And I thought it was so strange. I was like, why are they asking me this? But it's because my little pop-up tent, pop-up table was next to so many other people who just had drop shipped crap, or crap that they obviously like bulk bought from Dollar Tree, from Five Below, and they're just trying to resell it for like $20 a pop, right? And I get that. Or next to people who like just buy kids stuff, like, oh, look at this light up toy. I definitely get that. But I was not approaching the right crowd or the right sort of people. And even if I was, the message of my shop wasn't getting across, right? If I'm a handmade seller, it wasn't obvious to other people, other potential customers, that, hey, I'm handmade. And that's true with online platforms as well. If I am a handmade seller on TikTok shop, but everything on there is drop shipped, heavily manufactured, possibly may or may not actually be worth what the asking price is, it's hard to be like, hey, here are my handmade candles that like I make myself and da 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 da. And to be completely fair with you, usually on TikTok shop, the stuff that really, really sells anyway are like my lower priced items, my mini candles that are like, I don't know, that are like this big, that sell really well. And it is what it is. But again, that is the customer base that the platform has attracted, right? And months later, I have finally realized, and I'm closing down TikTok shop anyway, but I finally realized that like TikTok shop is not the platform that makes sense for me as a small business to be on, right? It just isn't. And it sucks because I see so many other people who are like, I'm a small business and I'm making so much money and so many hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I get that, I really do. But like making something with your hands is so, what am I thinking of? Not time consuming or not necessarily hard, but like making stuff with your hands is just so different marketing wise, and it matters like what products are popping up around your products. Does that make sense? I hope it does. But the other thing is, the other platform that I always have a bone to pick, so this will be fun, is Etsy. Etsy is another platform that I feel like is not conducive to handmade sellers, which is so backwards because once upon a time it used to be, right? It used to be the place you go in order to get your, what's the word I'm looking for here? In order to get in order to set up your small handmade store. And that's fine. That's great. But I feel like Etsy has changed so much over the years that it truly is not what it used to be, what it claimed to be. So that's like frustrating for me, if that makes sense. Now Etsy is filled with a lot more dropshippers who know how to make their shop look as if it's a handmade seller, because if I'm being honest, most Etsy shops have a certain aesthetic or feel to them. They definitely have certain visuals, very cutesy, white girl aesthetic, and they know how to replicate that, right? But when you click on a shop and you see that it has like 500K sales and has been open for like maybe 2 years, you're like, okay, you're not handmade. And then there's also Etsy being so insistent on keeping AI art on the platform, which I think is shooting itself in the foot, and it's going to continue shooting itself in the foot. And I'm so sorry to say it because I don't know if anyone else is willing to say it, but I really, truly, and it's not that I'm wishing badly upon Etsy, but I truly just don't see it being a long-term option to sell on the platform anymore, right? And I say that as like me still making sales here and there on the platform, but like truly, I don't know if Etsy is going to be around in the next like 10 plus years. It hurts because like Etsy definitely changed the game with online selling, online marketing, e-commerce in conjunction with handmade selling. Because back in the day, maybe you sold on eBay, but for the most part, it was just like selling in person, selling at pop-ups, selling at craft shows, selling within your community. And now you can reach a wider audience with the age of Etsy and social media and digital marketing and blah, 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 right? But when it comes to TikTok Shop and when it comes to Etsy, I feel like the handmade seller, in a sense, is being drowned out or pushed out by AI and drop shipped bull crap. That's my honest to God feelings about it. And it sucks and it's sad. And I truly don't know if there is a conducive platform for like handmade sellers to go and to thrive and be well, unless you like do the work to make your own community, right? And that may be making a Facebook group. That may be having your own website, which can get pretty expensive. It may be like, I don't know, starting the whole email marketing thing up. It might be whatever works for you. At the moment, what I'm trying to do with my business, right? And again, I forgot to mention this. My heart does go out to all of the like sellers, TikTok shop sellers who are like, I don't know what I'm going to do, da 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 da. My heart does go out to you, but also like first rule of business, you never put your eggs in one basket. And some of y'all, I'm not trying to be a dickhead. I'm really not. I do not mean this to be a dickhead, y'all. But like some of y'all, like you put all of your eggs in one basket. To see one platform go down and scrambling to be like, what, my whole business now falls apart because TikTok Shop is no more. Sorry, that was a bad idea. Same thing with a lot of people who are overly reliant on Etsy. I'm gonna let you know now. Start figuring out other ways to sell your goods. Do not rely on just Etsy. Don't do it. You will be sorely disappointed because Etsy is dying and halfway out the door. If you're trying to rely on Etsy to be your sole income, your sole source of income, or your sole source of sales, or however you want to word it, terrible idea. You need to start diversifying your income immediately. Anyway, getting off my high horse, getting off my soapbox, I apologize. Where I'm at right now is that this year I made a small profit, not a huge profit. I probably made like maybe like $200, $300 in profit, which is like, you know, whatever. But also like this is our, gosh, 4th year. We're going into our 5th year. And I do also acknowledge that some small businesses, they don't start making money until quite a while later. That being said, I'm no longer going to try to mess around with platforms that just doesn't make sense for me being handmade. For example, TikTok Shop, Amazon. I tried Amazon Handmade. None of it is really worth the time. I want to focus on stuff that makes sense for me as a specifically handmade seller, right? Because there are times where I'm like, oh, well, I really think this would be a good idea. And it just doesn't make sense for me being handmade. Maybe if I was a different type of business, if I was a drop shipper, if I was, I don't know, DTF, transfer, whatever the fuck products together, then maybe, perhaps. But because I'm making candles and I'm hand making these products, sometimes it just doesn't make sense for me to be in any sort of space. And I have to be more picky with where I choose to present my products, whether it's online or in person, because sometimes, again, I'm in person and like people, I'm like next to like you get what I'm saying, MLMs and drop shippers and like resellers, and it's like, this doesn't make sense for me to be at. So this year I want to put more effort into promoting my own website. I am not going to fully cut off Etsy just yet, but I do want to continue to sort of wane off of Etsy. I will probably be slowly removing products off of my Etsy and, you know, switching them over. Obviously, my products that don't sell on Etsy anyway, I'm just going to take off, because usually it's like my fandom stuff that people really want anyway. So I'm probably going to take my main products off low-key and just be like, you know, if you're interested, come here. I'm thinking about even trying to do a little card insert of like, hey, I'm not going to be on Etsy forever. If you're interested, please check out our website. Just to really hammer it home that like, I am moving. And I only say this because, yes, I can do it on social media, but I feel like my audience isn't necessarily connected to me on social media like that, which I find both a blessing and a curse, which another thing to talk about, social media, right? Part of the reason why I struggle so much with being consistent on social media is, one, I'm just not good at being consistent. I admit that. But two, my other thing is that I don't necessarily want to be an influencer, right? And I've noticed that sometimes when it comes to like posting, I'll see some people that I follow with large followings and they have a successful business, but they're like scrambling because they're going to go on vacation for a week. And they're like, oh my God, if I don't post, everyone's going to forget about me and then I'm not going to make any sales. And I'm like, that's not what I want. I'm not trying to be a salesperson. I'm not trying to be an influencer. I'm trying to be, you know, establish my business. So I want to be making sales regardless if I go on vacation or not, regardless if I'm posting on social media or not. Like I want to be at a place where I don't post for a week and that's okay. Shit. Or even at a place where like maybe I can have an employee that can like still keep things running even without me, right? I am not trying to be too front facing with my brand, even though I know people are like, wow, the magic of marketing and that's how it works and da 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 da. I acknowledge that, but also again, like, at what point are you an influencer, and at what point are you an influencer that just happens to have a business? And that's what I really struggle with. Like, I'm not trying to be an influencer, y'all. No hate to somebody who is, because obviously there are lots of people who they post and that's their bread and butter and that's what really gets their sales in. Great. But like, I could easily see myself being stuck in a cycle of like, I have to constantly be posting or else my business goes down the drain. So, especially with like platforms popping up, I am so tired of the algorithm game. Like, oh, I have to do this on Instagram because Instagram doesn't care about this anymore. And now I have to do this. Oh, one day TikTok Shop wants you to do like sponsor content. The next minute they want you to do lives and they want you to do promotions. Like I can't do it. I truly cannot do it. I can't. And that's my own thing too, is being on so many different platforms when I like do not have the bandwidth to be on that many platforms. My plan here moving forward is I want to be, first of all, I want to sort of hone in on selling them on places that make sense, right? Particularly, obviously, growing my website, making sure, sort of waning off my Etsy, going to my website, promoting my website. I still have to work out how I plan on doing that, because yes, there's the whole social media route, but also like I have to figure out how to balance, like, I don't want to be an influencer, but I need to do digital marketing. You get what I'm saying? While I'm working that out behind the scenes, I'm going to try, no promises. I'm going to try to be more consistent and post at least once a month, at least. Even if it's just like I ain't do nothing video. We need to post at least once a month. So we'll be posting consistently. I need to work out like what platforms that I'm going to be on, because I have social media platforms. I'm not active on every single platform. I'm cutting my losses with TikTok. Not even attempting to work out whatever it is on Twitter. We have a Twitter. It has not been active since like 2022 or something crazy like that. We have a Blue Sky. We have a YouTube. We have a Facebook. And we have Instagram. We also have Lemonade. Those are probably maybe like the 5 platforms I would focus on. Personally, I'm probably going to use Lemonade a little bit differently than how like other people use it, which to me is just kind of like scrapbooking. Don't mind it. I just personally want like an Instagram. Probably going to heavily focus on Instagram, if I'm being honest, the most, just because like that's the only platform that really makes sense to put like short form videos and pictures. So, look out for that. Besides that, that's kind of it. I'm going to try to go to some pop-ups. Here are the things with pop-ups, which I've talked about on and off on this channel since the dawn of time. I am picky with pop-ups just because, again, I need to be on a platform that makes sense. I need to go to a platform that makes sense for me as a small business owner, but also like I want to be sure I'm reaching the people that are into handmade, handcrafted goods, right? Just because you may go to a pop-up and like you'll run into someone who's sitting here like, oh, I love these candles, but I'm not willing to pay like $20 for it. And it is what it is. So I have to figure out how that makes sense for me. I wanted to try to do more craft fairs. Here's the thing about craft fairs, which I've ranted about before, y'all. I think that craft fairs obviously make the most sense for some people. The reason why I'm so hesitant to go to a craft fair is because craft fairs can get expensive, right? We're talking like $300 minimum to pay for a spot, a table, the table booth fee, whatever, right? There are some craft fairs, there's one in particular that I have beef with right now, that not only want you to pay a fee, but then they're like, well, you have to show us your sales because we want a commission of your sales. And it's like, if I'm already paying you like $300, $400 to be at my table, and then on top of that, you want sales, a cut of my sales. And I get it. Some people are like, oh, well, that's industry standard and blah, 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 blah. And if you were to be in a mall, that's blah, 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 blah. And I get that. But at the same time, like, there are people, especially in the pop-up craft show, whatever you want to call it, sphere, where people will try to make a profit off of a sense of community. When it comes to small businesses, they will try to create a sense of community, but still profit off of it, right? The same pop-up that I'm talking to you about, my nose is running, sorry. The same pop-up that pretty much wanted like a chunk of my sales and like the vendor fee also sells tickets, right? So as a attendee, you have to pay for your ticket. So it's like, okay, you're making ticket sales. You're making money off of booth fees. And then on top of that, you're going to be making a piece of my commission, which at that point, you're making hand over fist money, right? And when it comes to some of these booth fees, you have to calculate how much product do I need to sell before I can make a profit, right? And considering how, yes, I have candles, and even with candles being at like $20 a pop, I would still have to sell like, what, 40 plus, 100 plus candles before I can make a profit? I just don't see any way you can flip it, twist it, flip it, and reverse it for that to make sense for me right now. So that's why I haven't done any craft shows. I was sort of looking at them and being like, okay, maybe if I like really just invest in one and bite the bullet with $300, then but I would be so pissed if I pay $300 and I don't make that money back. Like, that is serious for me. That's not just like, oops, oh well, it didn't work out. Like, no, I'm gonna be very upset. So that's why I never bit the bullet on that. Matter of fact, one very popular craft show that's kind of like all across the US and expanding as we speak is apparently being run by like a Scientologist. So like, that's fun. Take that for what you will. But yeah, the other thing was like farmers markets, which would be a good idea to do. But a lot of farmers markets, at least in my area, have rules about like what you can sell. So like a lot of them are basically just like, we want you to sell food. And like, yes, you can sell candles or something like that, but that can't be like your main thing. And you just have to sell, like, you have to be like mostly a food vendor, or food is like your main thing, your main product, I guess, that you have. And like, there'll be people who are like, oh, I saw this food and like maybe some beeswax candles. So it's been hard to be like, yeah, I'll find a farmer's market that makes sense in Chicago. That's my goal. What I'm probably gonna do is like during the busier seasons, which is usually like the colder months where people are buying candles, I'm just gonna do a bunch of digital marketing, try to promote my website to get sales on my website specifically and not on Etsy, even though I do get some sales on Etsy. And I don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be like ungrateful. I appreciate those sales 100%. But the other thing that I'm kind of feeling weird about is during the summer months, I kind of want to see if I can do a farmer's market regularly enough, at least. Like every Saturday, I go to this farmer's market, no exceptions. Or maybe like, I don't know, if something pops up. But truly, like every Saturday I go to a farmer's market. I think that would be the best thing for me. There are other things that I want to maybe get around to. Like I definitely want to try to have my own vending machine with like wax melts in there that I think would be great. Preferably at like maybe like the airport or something like that. The reason why I never got around to that is, one, it's kind of expensive, but two, I have to double check like how that works with TSA, because I know that like there are strict rules about like stuff with fragrance oil in it being checked into like because something about like the air, it can be a fire hazard. So like I would talk to TSA and be like, would this be a fire hazard? I don't know what's going on. Please check this for me before I try to do this. Because I don't want anyone getting in trouble on their flight. And then being like, well, Moon Wax, it's her fault because she did. No, thank you. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's gonna be my 2025 goals. Obviously, I'm gonna try to make a profit. Oh, this is the other thing. We're going to be cutting down on some products, cutting back on some products. I think that like we have our original line, we have the summer line, we have a like Black History Month line, which is our most popular line, if I'm being honest, which is all great and dandy. But to be completely honest and transparent, not everything sells. Like right now, I'm having such a hard time getting rid of like the Milky Way, the hot chocolate smelling candles and wax melts that I have, because what I've discovered is that people don't really like gourmand, like sweet smelling stuff like that. Now there are people who are like, I would love a sugar cookie candle, but like truly it's not the most popular smell. The most popular smells typically when it comes to candles is like, or fragrances in general, is going to be like woodsy stuff is always really popular, and anything like clean smelling is also going to be really popular. So I'm probably going to like look at everything that I have, reel it in. At one point I was kind of be like, I want to be at an artist alley, but like truly I don't think I have enough product to fill up an artist alley. Like I have my Sailor Moon collection and the Twisted Wonderland collection, and Asterion, and I don't even have the rest of the like the rest of the characters. I just have Asterion, and like maybe that could be enough, but like truly I don't know. So yeah, if I do a farmer's market, there's things I want to change up with my table that I've been working on. I want to obviously figure out my display in a way that like makes sense. I want to work on like a custom tablecloth, which custom tablecloths are actually kind of expensive. I was a little bit surprised at the prices for custom tablecloths, but yeah. And then what I want to do, which would take up a lot of space, which is a problem, is I want to do sort of like a thing where maybe you could build your own like wax melts. So my idea, and I'll see if I can like put up pictures because I saw this on Pinterest, is that kind of around the table, there'll be like maybe little containers. I want wooden containers of some sort of different wax melts, and you sort of just mix and match like what scents you have. And they would be very generic scents, like, oh, this one is vanilla, this one is jasmine, this one is whatever. And people can fill up a cup for like so much, you know, whatever price, and have fun with that. So I want to test that out just because I feel like people would enjoy maybe some element of like customization. Yeah, I have gotten requests about doing candle classes. Fortunately, that's like not really like an interest of mine at the moment, just because of like how much work it would be. Not to say that it's impossible, but I think maybe if I had like my own storefront or my own space, then I would be like, yeah, let's have a candle class. But it's just a little bit too much work for me at the moment, like keeping up with the inventory and all that. Maybe in the future, not right now. I'm so sorry about it. Yeah, that's pretty much all the updates that I have. I don't know. I was hoping that I would sort of leave off this video with on a higher note, I guess I could say. But truly, like, I don't know what the answer is for handmade sellers with like things going the way that it is at the moment. With the way TikTok Shop and Etsy is going, like, I truly don't know what the answer is. Like, where do we handmade sellers go from here? I don't know what the answer is. Leave a comment below on, I guess, what you as a business owner think, or like what you've seen other people doing, of like how they are choosing to sort of not pivot, but like move forward with, I feel like the internet as a whole just not being very conducive to like small handmade businesses. But yeah, a little morbid, a little sad. I don't know. I'm sorry it ended off this depressing. Either way, thank you for watching this video. May your stars always align and may fate conspire in your favor. I will see you in the next video. Bye.